Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over my bike packing setup on my Checkpoint SL5. We're going to go over the bags, my setup, and all the steps I'm taking to ensure I have a safe and fun trip. So let's go. All right, so let's start at the very front of the bike, and one of the more prominent bags, kind of, is definitely my front bag where I've got my tent, my sleeping pad, and the rain fly also for my tent. I might be able to squeeze a couple other things in there. I gotta kind of try out the setup a couple times with some overnight camping. But yeah, the bag I'm using is the Topeak front loader. It comes with a dry bag and this strap that you can clip to the front of the bag right here, and that's where I'm going to put most of my day-to-day clothes that I'll put in this other dry bag that I have, as well as strapping my pump right here. And then still continuing on the front of the bike, I have my navigation, and for that I'm using a Garmin 820. It's not going to have the most battery life right now since I got it used. And there are some newer models like the 830 and even the 530 that have better battery life. But this was good enough for my uses, and also I have a portable battery pack that I'm going to be able to use to help charge it up when I need to. And this attaches to my bike using the Bontrager blender mounts. They're pretty neat. They attach into the stem and really help clean up the cockpit, which is very nice when you're bike packing. You have lots of straps and stuff in your way where you're holding the bike. So now that we've gone over the front bag, let's talk about the two bags that I have here. They're Bontrager bags. They're both the Bontrager adventure bags. I find them to be really, really useful. The top tube bag actually bolts into the frame on my Checkpoint, which I found super, super nice. It eliminates a couple other straps and allows me to take those and use them elsewhere in my setup if I so happen to need them, either along my ride or to strap something else down. I'm pretty much using my top tube bag as things I'm going to need readily. So I'm going to put my snacks, my sunglasses. I've got my spoon-fork combination, double-ended spoon and fork right here in the bag there, as well as a headlamp for when I stop and it's darker out and I need to look for a spot to camp. And I also have a couple other little nuts and bolts, so if I need to do a couple little bits of maintenance while I'm on the trail or on the road. And then I have my frame bag here, which is something kind of meant to be used a little bit less often than my top tube bag here. It's got my tent poles and colder weather riding gear that I might need for either in the mornings or in the evening, or if it starts to drizzle a little bit. So I've got a rain cape in here. I've got my thermal warmers for my arms and my legs, as well as a first aid kit and some charging cables, and what I found to be very useful, an emergency blanket. It's going to help keep me warm if there's some sort of emergency where I just need to stay warm. Now, I also have two water bottle cages where I can just kind of snug them in with the size of my frame. It pushes up on the bag just a little bit, but they do fit in there. I got 750 milliliter bottles, two of them here. I can fit another two on the forks of my bike, and I can fit another one on the down tube. They might not always be fully filled. They probably will be at the beginning until I get acclimated to the full distance, riding anywhere from 60 to 120 miles a day. It's just sort of a little insurance policy so I know I can carry the extra water and weight. I don't, of course, carrying extra water is always going to come with that extra weight penalty, but I'd rather have some extra water and go a little bit slower than be able to go a little bit faster but need some extra water. So now we can move on to what is the biggest bag in my setup, which is my trunk bag here. This is where I'm keeping my sleeping bag, which isn't exactly the most compact sleeping bag, but it was inexpensive and it worked for me. And then I've also got everything that I might need at the end of my day or at the beginning of my day while I'm cleaning up or setting up my camp. So I've got my cook kit, I've got, of course, my sleeping bag, I've got my tool kit so I can adjust my bike either at the beginning or the end of the day as I see fit, as well as some chain oil for maintenance. I've got on the outside clipped, I've got a little towel, and I've got things like my chamois cream, everything I might need sort of at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day. I've got a little bit of extra room in here still, and the bungees where I can strap my meal for the night or for my breakfast in the morning. That pretty much goes over all the bags on my bike. So now let's talk about all the components that I'm running for this trip. I am running this, oh, hello. Hi. Hey there, puppy. Go, go. Now I am running this bike pretty much completely stock component-wise, as you could get it from your local Trek dealer. The full Shimano 105 group set. I believe the 2021s came out with a similarly spec'd GRX group set. I might invest in a GRX rear derailleur just to help protect my chainstay for when I'm on my trip and when I'm riding on some mountain bike trails that really aren't exactly rated for this bike. Now, one thing I did change out was the saddle, the stock saddle was a Bontrager Arvada. I changed mine out for the Affinity saddle. I find that one a little bit more comfortable. I enjoy that shape a little bit more because, you know, comfort on a 100 plus, you know, multiple weeks of riding 100 miles, you need to make sure you have a comfortable saddle. That's one thing that I changed it out. The pedals I'm running are the Bontrager SPD clipless pedals. They were readily available at my local shop when I picked up my bike, and so those are the pedals I decided to spec on it, and they're red and they match the bike, which is important, right? One thing that I know is very controversial when it comes to bike touring setups is running tubeless on your tires or not running tubeless. I personally decided to run tubeless. The benefits in my book were just there. Now I am packing lots of extra tubes on my travels and just in case a CO2 inflator to see if I can try and reseat the bead if I need to, but I can always of course swap in a tube very easily. I made sure that my setup with the tubeless tires is very serviceable with just by my hands. You know, I don't want to mess up that rim tape using a tire lever or anything like that. So that is my bike packing setup. I'd really love to know what you think of my setup and if you have any experiences, what recommendations you have for me personally. I know my tubeless tires are going to be a bit of a topic of controversy in the comments, but I would look forward to hearing what you have to say about my setup, and yeah, I wish you the best of luck in all of your bike packing adventures as well.